Everyone is speaking out about this as an NBA insider has made a shocking statement on the Houston Rockets schedule. We tell you what he said and go through some of the most intriguing matchups for the Rockets in this upcoming season. Welcome into Rockets Digest, everybody. I'm Jace Andrews. We are so happy you chose to click on the video and join us here today. We have finally passed the lull in the NBA year. We got our full schedule released yesterday and can now wait and look forward to some of the games coming up in literally just about 2 months. I am certainly excited, and of course, yesterday when the schedule was released, multiple media outlets had a NBA schedule release special. Well, on one of these, Kendrick Perkins was on it, I believe it was ESPN, and he was asked, who are the most watchable / exciting teams to watch in the NBA? And he didn't need to even go with teams. He said one team. It was the Houston Rockets. Here is the quote from the show saying, the Houston Rockets, who made the most powerful move this offseason by getting Kevin Durant. You already have baby Jokic and Alperen Şengün down there putting up that work. What he does in the paint, and then he continues on to say this, Amen Thompson is good for 2 to 3 highlights athletically every single night. And KD, a walking bucket, an artist, a magician with the pieces they already have, Jabari Smith, every single night is going to be must-see TV when it comes to the Rockets on both ends of the floor, end quote. Now he continued on to kind of talk about why they were so exciting, talking about how good of a job Ime Udoka has done, and the really excitement in the air about this team, not just in Houston, but across the entire NBA, just getting ready to watch this team, and I share that excitement tenfold, obviously, as Rockets fans. We are very ready for this upcoming season and what it might hold, but obviously, now that we have the schedule, we can kind of pick out some of the most intriguing matchups. Well, that's exactly what Danielle Lerner did on the Houston Chronicle. She labeled the 6 most intriguing games in the 2025-2026 season, obviously going from Jalen Green's return to a Warriors rematch. So let's start off. We'll go 1 through 6. This is really not a particular order. It's more of when it happens in the schedule rather than like, oh, this is the most and this is the least. So don't think that this is we're going from 1 to 6. We're just going in order of when they appear. The first game of the year, obviously an intriguing matchup on NBC, 6:30 p.m. tip, opening night, and you're facing off against the defending champions. It's 1 in the Western Conference versus 2 in the Western Conference from last year, OKC, and of course, the Houston Rockets. Here's what Lerner says, saying, quote, after earning the number 2 seed in the Western Conference last season, the Rockets are primed to be the toughest challenger to the Thunder in the West this season. What better litmus test for Houston than to play the defending champions on the NBA's opening night? Now, obviously, that is something in its own right, but there's also a little bit more behind this. Kevin Durant, returning back to Oklahoma City, a place where he nearly won a championship. In fact, was close a couple times with James Harden and Russell Westbrook, but ultimately could never get one done. Now we obviously saw the OKC win it last year with Shai Gilgeous and company, and now we get to see KD go back. And he's not the only one. Steven Adams and Jeff Green also spent time with the Thunder. So it is definitely a very intriguing matchup to place Kevin Durant and OKC in a banner night after he left to go, quote-unquote, win a ring with the Warriors, which, I mean, he succeeded, so I don't really know what the Thunder have on him, but either way, they'll just never get over that trade, even with a win, I guess, in the championship. I digress, and that's their problem. We go to the second matchup, and it's actually the next game. It's at home against the Detroit Pistons, and there's a couple of interesting topics. Let's read what Danielle Lerner has to say, and then I'll go into my take. Well, the Rockets played 2 preseason games at the Toyota Center earlier in October. This will be the true home court debut for Durant and the Rockets newcomers, Dorian Finney-Smith, obviously mentioned Clint Capella, Josh Okogie, a couple guys. The matchup also pits Rockets guard Amen Thompson against his twin brother, Pistons guard Ausar Thompson, which is definitely a cool thing to see. Obviously, twins Amen and Ausar last year, both in the first round of playoffs, both lost in the first round of the playoffs, unfortunately, but kind of nice to see, especially an East-West matchup immediately in game number 2. The home court debut of Kevin Durant, Josh Okogie, Dorian Finney-Smith. Obviously, you're going to be able to get a lot of fun things, and that'll be the first night that the Rockets have in the Toyota Center for the 2025-2026 season. Hopefully, the last night is deep into June, or into June, rather, I should say, deep in the season, and it's hopefully raising a title trophy will be my bet or my hope. But Really intriguing matchup, obviously. I'm going to serve first game back at home, or rather at home at all, for Kevin Durant. Now, we go to the next most intriguing matchup here. It is, of course, against the Golden State Warriors, this one being on the day before Thanksgiving, November 26th in San Francisco, nationally televised on ESPN. We'll read what Daniel Lerner has to say. Quote, "The Rockets-Warriors 2025 playoff series gave us 7 games of intense, physical basketball. Who wouldn't want to see more? Alperen Şengün and Amen Thompson will be itching for revenge against Draymond Green and Steph Curry. The first meeting this season is part of the NBA Cup group phase and takes place in the Chase Center, where Houston lost 2 of 3 games during the most recent playoff series." This is a big thing for a couple of different reasons. Obviously, the rematch there, going a little too far ahead, there's the picture. And then you have Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler also. I know he was injured in a little bit of that series, but you're going to have him as well. And interestingly enough, Golden State has 34 nationally televised games, tied for the most in the NBA. This is one of them, obviously being in the group of the Houston Rockets for the NBA Cup, so that will be a part of it. It's actually the last NBA Cup game, and it is on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, so kind of an exciting matchup there. Rockets, as we know, play on Christmas, which I got a little bit ahead of myself, but that is a game as well that we will be able to see, so definitely an exciting matchup for sure for a couple of different reasons. And then we have the return of Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks. The Phoenix Suns come to town on December 5th in the Toyota Center. This is going to be a fun one. We obviously know that this is not the first time the Rockets and Phoenix Suns will play each other. They'll do that on November 24th in Phoenix, but I think it's a little bit more intriguing, and as she says in the article, to see Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks back at the Toyota Center rather than Kevin Durant back in Phoenix. And here's what Lerner says, quote, "The Rockets and Suns play each other for the first time in Phoenix on November 24th. Intriguing as Durant returns to his former city, but expect Jalen Green's and Dillon Brooks' first game back in Toyota Center to hold more emotional significance. Neither Green nor Brooks wanted to be traded, with Brooks saying it was a little bit sad when he found out he was headed to Phoenix. It will be interesting to see the reception they receive from Rockets fans." And I'm curious about that. And this is where I kind of have a question for today's video. If you're going to be, obviously, tickets are going to be expensive, whatever. Let's say you're in the arena for the return of Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks. What are you going to give them an ovation? What exactly is the reception they should get? Personally, I love Jalen Green. I love Dillon Brooks. I know that the trade was beneficial to the Rockets. However, it is obviously still hard to see Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks go somewhere else. But they also have talked about some comments, it's business. They know what it is. So I'm curious their thoughts. If you're in the arena, are you giving them a round of applause or, standing ovation? Or are you just going to, act as if it's another game? I'm curious kind of what you exactly would do in that situation. Let me know down in the comment section. All right, so I mentioned this game a little bit earlier, but I would say one of the most intriguing matchups of the year as well is the Los Angeles Lakers on December 25th. Now, I will preface with this. We have 6 games. They're all before 2026 even starts. But I think at the beginning of the season, people are a little bit more entranced in the NBA. So that's why these 6 were picked, because you kind of get into the deep depths of the NBA season after January, and sometimes there's a little bit less interest until the trade deadline comes back up. But this is the Christmas matchup in LA against, of course, right now, the LeBron James and Luka Doncic Lakers. I know there's rumors of LeBron being traded. I don't see that happening, but either way, the Rockets' first Christmas game since 2019 will feature a matchup against LeBron James, Luka Doncic, and company. Houston's 6-point loss in Los Angeles in March came down to the final minutes and was one of the most electric regular season atmospheres the Rockets played in last season. And of course, on Christmas with LeBron and Luka, this is going to be a very good matchup as well. A Western Conference that I honestly see the Lakers looking at the play-in tournament or even looking into the playoffs in some ways. I don't exactly see them as a guaranteed playoff team, but it is still going to be an intriguing matchup. You have LeBron and you have Luka, and this is a tiny thing, but sometimes for I'm going to call myself a degenerate fan who loves to watch every single story and every single game. It's also Dorian Finney-Smith's return to LA. And DFS, if you don't know, his kind of story of leaving LA was a bit intriguing. You see, he wanted a bigger contract. LA said, we're not going to give it to you. He was asking for 3-4 years, and LA said, how about one? And he was like, no, I'm not going to take one. I'm not going to take two either, which they also offered him. And so he left, obviously, came to the Houston Rockets, and funny enough, signed a 4-year contract. That is true, but only the first 2 years are guaranteed. So in theory, this could be a very similar contract to what the Lakers could have given him and just paid him for the 2 years and then, trade him away, whatever, released him. It doesn't really matter. I mean, that's not guaranteed past that. So kind of intriguing. Obviously, it's a storyline that is very small and negligible, but, whatever. And then I do have one more matchup, the sixth matchup I miscounted there. We have one more in January on the 20th. It is the San Antonio Spurs in Houston, a national matchup on NBC. This is part of the Rivals Week. Here's kind of the quote here. Part of what the NBA is billing as, quote, Rivals Week. This game will be the Rockets' first chance to face the Spurs in the Toyota Center with both Victor Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox active for San Antonio. That is a long way away to say that Victor Wembanyama or De'Aaron Fox might not be hurt, but I hope they are not. I want full strength versus full strength, but just throwing it out there. When the Spurs visited Houston in February after trading for Fox, Wembanyama was already shut down for the season, with a season-ending blood clot. The Spurs also have added rookie guard Dylan Harper, the number 2 pick last year's draft, and returned reigning Rookie of the Year Stephon Castle. So, going to be a very intriguing matchup. I would seldomly put that both of them are going to be available just because of the injury proneness that we have seen from Victor Wembanyama. I'm not going to say much about De'Aaron Fox just because I'll be really honest with you. When he was in Sacramento, I could not care less about watching any Sacramento game at all unless they're playing the Rockets. So I really don't know what's going on with that. I watch the Spurs, obviously, you're in Texas, you see the Spurs on TV a lot. So I don't know. I find that as an intriguing matchup at Rivals Week. I think Mavericks-Rockets would have been a better choice, but I understand that I believe Mavericks are playing the Lakers, so you can't really beat, Lakers and Luka Doncic and coming back to the Mavericks with Cooper Flagg. Either way, I digress. It's a rivalry for sure. All the Texas teams are going to be good this year, I believe. So going to be very fun to watch that. But those are the 6 most intriguing matchups I see and Daniel Lerner sees in the upcoming season. Let me know if I missed any. Is there one that we missed? Is there an intriguing matchup that we didn't talk about? Is there one later on in the season that you're really, really excited to watch? Let me know down in the comment section. If you made it to the end of the video, you are a real one, my friend. I appreciate you. And we're going to see you next time here on Rockets Digest. But for now, we say peace out.